New York seek recognition.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House suspend the rules and pass the bill S. 1687 as amended.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
Senate 1687, an act to amend Section 21 of the Small Business Act to require cyber certification for Small Business Development Center counselors and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentlewoman from New York, Ms. Velázquez, and the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Luetkemeyer, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from New York.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on the measure under consideration.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume. Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of the bill before us today, S. 1687, the Small Business Cyber Training Act of 2022. The House passed its companion bill, H.R. 4515, the Small Business Development Center Cyber Training Act, on November 2, 2021. S. 1687 will establish a cyber counseling certification program for lead SBDC staff to provide specific, free-of-charge cyber training for small businesses. As more businesses utilize the Internet for social media advertising, payment systems, and global markets, more of them become vulnerable to cyber attacks. These cyber disruptions can destroy IT systems and derail operations, sometimes forcing their business to shut down. Cyber attack damage is not just limited to the IT systems. It can also erode customer trust and tarnish a business reputation. With that said, a recent SBA survey found that 88% of small business owners felt their business was vulnerable to a cyber attack, but reported that they couldn't afford professional IT solutions, have limited time to devote to cybersecurity, or just do not know where to begin. Given the greater risk cyber attacks pose to small businesses and their limited capacity to protect against them, we must find ways to help entrepreneurs strengthen their cybersecurity posture. The SBA and SBDCs are ready, willing, and able to fill these gaps. Under this legislation, lead SBDC centers will be required to provide cyber training and resources and facilitate cybersecurity investments that are typically too expensive for small businesses. S. 1687 makes minor technical changes to the House-passed bill and were agreed upon by all stakeholders. I would also like to thank our House leader, Mr. Garbarino, House leaders, Mr. Garbarino, Mr. Evans, Ms. Houlihan, and Mr. Chabot, who have been true advocates on this issue. I applaud their commitment to helping small business owners protect their livelihood from destructive cyber attacks. Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to support this bill as amended, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentlelady from New York reserves. The gentleman from Missouri is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman has the floor.
And I rise in support of the House Amendment to S. 1687, the Small Business Cyber Training Act of 2022. All businesses, regardless of size or available resources, are susceptible to cyber threats. If large businesses can become victims of cyber crimes, small businesses are even more vulnerable. This bipartisan legislation directs small business development centers, SBDCs, to provide training to thwart potential attacks and educate small businesses on the most up-to-date cybersecurity practices. With over 1,000 local centers nationwide, SBDCs are well positioned to assist small businesses with their cybersecurity needs. I want to thank Congressman Garbarino for his leadership on this issue and commitment to enhancing Missouri's economic competitiveness and cyber resiliency. I also like to thank my counterparts in the Senate for their work on this legislation. S. 1687 passed the Senate in September, and I urge my colleagues to support the bill we have before us today that does not include unneeded reimbursement provisions included in the final reform. I reserve, Mr. Speaker, the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from New York.
Mr. Speaker, I have no further speakers, and I'm prepared to close.
The gentlewoman reserves. The gentleman from Missouri is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have no further speakers either, and I'm prepared to close as well.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. S 1687 as amended takes important steps to prepare small businesses to combat cybersecurity threats. This bipartisan bill to expand services at small business development centers will ensure small businesses have the resources necessary to create a cybersecurity plan and detect cyber risks. I urge my colleagues to support this legislation. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back the balance of his time. This recognizes the gentlelady from New York.
Mr. Speaker, the use of digital tools dramatically increased during the pandemic, even here in Congress. And the massive shift to remote work has resulted in a significant rise in cybersecurity threats and attacks. Guarding against cyber attacks often comes with significant costs and a substantial investment of time and resources. Unfortunately, small businesses operating on thin margins have fewer resources to dedicate to cyber security. S 1687 ensures that the nation's 62 lead SBDCs are fully equipped to assist small businesses with their cybersecurity needs at no cost. The bill will eliminate the primary obstacle of investment costs and make cybersecurity mitigation easier to adopt. This bill is a common sense solution to complex problems. I urge my colleagues to support S 1687, the Small Business Cyber Training Act of 2022, as amended. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentlelady yields back, and the question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass Senate 1687 as amended? Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, no.